I was just going to say, yeah, we didn't say like and subscribe. We didn't say go to patreon.com/the economy of nothing, economyofnothing.com, Gmail, economy of nothing, and all that other stuff. We didn't say any of it, so what does it matter if I do it right now? But like and if you're listening to this somewhere, push one of the buttons. I don't care which one. Click on something. You're just here. Just click on something. You can leave right now. Just fucking click on it. Fuck you. Click on it. How about that?
Click on a different video.
Yeah.
That's not even
That's
about
not going to
us.
yell at
Just
you.
click on anything on your screen. Click on anything. Click on the little X.
Just
on the
feel
tab you're
alive
looking at
for
the
1
video.
second and click for the love of God.
Clicking will not make you feel alive.
It's the closest thing you can get without leaving your house.
Welcome to the Economy of Nothing podcast, where we dive into anything, question everything, and sometimes talk about absolutely nothing. I'm your host, Mike Allen, the man, the myth, the legend, the voice behind the original Mr. Green, aka Business Mike on the lowdown. Get ready for wild stories, deep thoughts, offbeat vibes, and that kind of randomness that makes sense only here. So sit back, turn it up, and let's ride to the Economy of Nothing together. Let's get it started. And we're going to get it started with my two co-hosts, starting with Ryan, no last name, aka first-time listener, first-time caller, aka the original Cheyenne from the animated series Economy of Nothing, Ryan Taylor.
Hello, everyone. I've come to understand that I'm no longer in contention for King of the Podcast due to my absence last week, so I guess I'm the jester, or maybe in this month I'll be the queen of the podcast.
He may not be the king
Time
of the
to
podcast,
declare
but he's definitely
ourselves
the
kings of
queen.
whatever's left, you know?
And
Yeah.
followed up with my co-host / creator of the Economy of Nothing website, the Economy of Nothing animated series, the Economy of Nothing podcast, which is like the Grand Theft Auto radio channel playing in the video game of the Economy of Nothing. It can be anywhere on at any time, and it's mostly fun and somewhat relatable to the real world. But anyways, Mike, creator of the Economy of Nothing, how are you doing today? Talk to the people.
As good as one could be doing on a Wednesday. To drop the reality for a minute that this is a Tuesday. It's a Wednesday.
Hump day, bow checka, wow, wow. You know, it's
I didn't
video,
want to
so
bring the
people can be
real
listening
world
whenever.
into stuff too early, but here we are. It's a Wednesday. Let's get real.
What an opener. What an opener. Anyways, guys, just want to talk today. First, I'll just go over a little everything of what's changing in the podcast. Ryan, you were out. So here's what's happening. Basically, we're just going to have fun. The Economy of Nothing podcast is talking about the economy of nothing. I
Are we
think we
not
have
having
three. No. I'm just saying.
I'm
The
sorry.
first,
Honestly, good idea.
number one.
That's a change of pace.
Number one, we're gonna have fun. Number two, I think we all have interesting things to say, and we each bring a interesting twist and perspective to things that are, in my feelings, I think you all agree, above average than the average dribble content out there. Anyways, I think I think as this goes on, we're going to create new segments that can be Economy of Nothing animated series related if we want. But if we're not vibing with that, we don't have to. We can talk about literally anything. Like tonight, I want to talk about the Accountant 2 review. And, you know, this is where it's going to go, okay? And maybe we should start with that. Have you guys seen the Accountant 2?
I saw The Accountant 1 on HBO and was surprised where it went, and I'm even more surprised that they went from that ending to their buddy. They're doing a buddy. They're action buddy guys now. They're both
Okay,
autistic brothers
so-
fighting
so-
crime. What's
I
happening?
think would be better here, Mike, since you just saw the Accountant 1, can you just give us a short little, like, 30 seconds of what it is?
I want to be very clear. I've seen The Accountant 1 like 10 years ago or whatever, but let me tell you exactly what happens in the entire
So you have
movie.
perfect recall.
So it opens, we learn that, you know, he's an accountant with a heart of gold or whatever, because he's helping some old couple that's like trying to like save their farm or whatever. And he's like, hey, if we do clever accounting, we can save it, but it's a little on the sly. And you're like, okay, this guy's a little dangerous, but also we know he's a good guy. But then we go home and we're like, oh man, but he has personal troubles. He has kind of mental issues. Jump like really far ahead. John Barenthal's his brother and he comes to try and kill him. But then they end up being like, I guess we're cool. And then now it's an Accountant 2 situation.
All right. And Ryan, have you seen the Accountant 2 yet?
From the movie posters that I'm seeing, hearing of this for the first time 1 minute ago, I would say it is the unholy marriage of Batman who does wield guns with the Punisher who does wield guns, and they've come back to wield guns again, but in service of accounting.
I'm gonna be honest. It's not far off, but
It
there's a little
must be
twist.
perfectly correct.
It's pretty actually.
Did
close.
you ever imagine what it was like to see Daredevil from 2002, who had his sight back and a gun? Because that's what they're giving you in this film.
Maybe not.
Okay, so first off,
feel free to spoil. By the way,
exceptional.
What did you think about
analysis? No, so The Accountant 2. First off, let me just say, it's fucking terrible. Number 2. Here's the thing. It's sequel season. Nobody's got any new ideas. That's why this show is going to be the next big thing in the Economy of Nothing universe. Because we just have a lot of cool shit to say. That's what I think. But in general,
new idea, so people know.
Yeah, it's new ideas. New ideas. We call this segment "Mike Allen sees a movie once a week and then we talk about it." Okay, that's the name of the segment. But anyways,
we could use some alliteration.
That's great.
Yeah, but the Accountant 2. Back to The Accountant 2. All right, so Ben Affleck, obviously, in the first movie, he's like full on autistic, right? Like the dude has to he has to listen to rage music with a strobe light in his camper.
He has to go to bed like in that Daredevil sarcophagus, but it's metal music.
Yeah, and he's taking that muscle tension thing that gets out the knots, and he's just hammering it against his leg, and he has to do that every night, especially in the fact he can't solve his problem. And they actually show the accountant doing accountant work, trying to find money. And then, everything Mike said turns into John Berthold's oh, this guy's obviously relevant because they keep showing him, but they're not together. And then you find out it's his stepbrother, but it was a dead giveaway because all the flashback sequences, they're training together. So was it really a twist? No, actually, The Accountant 1's probably a bad movie.
Is every movie now an episode of Scooby-Doo? So every movie's trying to be a mystery, and it's it's the other actor in the film, right?
Yeah.
A mystery spoiled by the poster.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. And I just need to get through why I think The Accountant 2 is stupid, and I think you guys will agree with me.
Yeah, go ahead.
I apologize.
Right? No, it's fine.
No,
I
attacking
appreciate
my
the
favorite
commentary.
movie of 2025, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Okay, so first off, I watched this movie because it was the only movie that seemed to have appeal on Amazon Prime, and it was free. And I thought that was Amazon's way of trying to get people on the platform to keep the stock price up due to earnings and stuff. But what I really realized after watching it was they were Amazon was we can't charge people money to watch this. This is terrible. It makes no sense. You turn an action comedy. Sorry, go ahead.
If I may, are you not in a sense the ideal audience that they were thinking of when they thought of this movie?
You clicked on it for all of those reasons.
You know what I mean? Yeah. In a way you are.
Yes, but I think it was the bait and switch.
Tired dad puts his kids to bed, and then it turns on The Accountant 2 for free.
Yeah, I mean, if I could
describe, you're the ideal use case.
If I could describe,
and you hated it,
a thumbnail of The Accountant 2, it'd be "Fuck you. There's nothing else to watch. You're gonna watch it." That's what the thumbnail.
You've heard of these two guys. Turn it on, asshole.
Yeah, it's free, bitch. What are you gonna pay $4.99 or $19.99? If I don't think so, not based off your algo.
I have a question.
Are they still mistaken?
Is it
that
free,
people like Ben
or
Affleck?
was this included in your Prime subscription?
It was just free. It's the only one.
Okay, we should make a rule as a podcast that we don't say things that are on subscription or free. I'm sick of it. It wasn't free on Netflix. You paid for Netflix.
I said it was
I know.
free.
I'm just saying. I just want to.
We all pay taxes.
Jesus Christ! Just let me get to the end of the Accountant 2. Fuck.
Oh,
all right.
God,
You guys
will
can
you
talk.
let Mike Allen? Will you let the second segment Mike Allen gets to talk about a movie happen? For God's sakes, Ryan.
Okay. All right. Accountant 2. All right. So we go from Accountant 1 to now Accountant 2. It's been another 8 years. We cut to Ben Affleck still living in a camper, still doing all the same things he does, except this time he goes in. It starts with him deciphering the algorithm of a dating app game show, and then basically he makes it where all the women want him because he's the only now he's an attractive looking autistic guy, really attractive, but he's that Rain Man autistic, so super smart. He's definitely upped it. In the first one, you couldn't touch him or he'd freak out, and this one he's definitely grown. He's learned a lot in 8 years. I guess is what is being said here. But they go through this whole thing of him
Classic
dating
autism. People learn their way through it.
I mean, they can learn. I mean,
I know, but like,
right?
That's like,
I mean, I think so.
Like,
yeah.
Like the concept is that it's a developmental disability, and the idea that a grown man can develop through it is ridiculous. But continue.
I know, but
you don't like this movie. I'm just saying.
Okay,
like,
okay. But let me clarify, because I think
no, I get it. Hollywood's a bunch of assholes.
Autism wasn't a spectrum yet. It was just like, when you thought of an autistic person, it was like the loud one that yelled that couldn't be touched. And I don't know what that is on the spectrum. I don't. I'm sure.
No, this isn't. I'm not taking a shot at you. I'm taking a shot at the movie industry. They
but that's what I'm saying. Like,
as a superpower or whatever.
Yeah, no. Now it's like upgraded to him just being like, I just don't.
He saw all the cameras and saw all the license plate. Yeah.
There's no way you could get over some of that stuff. But anyways,
yeah,
that he was doing. So and then like now he's witty. Now he's like really witty about it. So he's kind of like an Elon Musk portrayed character now.
It feels like such a weird series to turn into like action comedies. Like
right.
Like so, it wasn't that serious, but it was more serious than that.
Well, again, this is The Accountant 2,
in the first movie.
And it starts with dating, which he breaks the algo, and it's just him admitting it to the people. And then it just ends, and nothing that's never revisited. There's never anything about a love interest. It just seems like it was like gonna be crammed in and then cut out. And then it cuts to him being an accountant and this FBI cop. I guess I didn't realize J.K. Simmons was in the first one, but like he's the start of the second one, and he gets killed right away. Like, spoilers, but also fuck you if you really like this movie.
I thought you said if you really like J.K. Simmons. I was gonna say whoa, sir.
No, but I'm just saying, like, if you like this movie, like, what are you doing here? You clearly like could have fun entertaining yourself banging rocks together. Like, that's just what I see for this movie. And you guys should watch it after this. But the point being is that they kill J.K. Simmons. Boom. They say, get the accountant. So the FBI agent suddenly just picks up where J.K. Simmons left off, which is like, it's the most ridiculous, like Charlie, It's Always Sunny, like when he's down in the mailroom, bored, like trying to connect the dots of different people of the conspiracy. And it's just like, the accountant, ? So, well, coincidentally enough, she like calls somebody that knows the accountant. And then he's like, I'll take the job. No questions asked. Takes the job. And then he's a guy that literally like cleans up dirty money through killing people, and now he's like, yeah, I'll help an FBI agent out because I'm just a good person. And they're like, why are you helping me? You asked. That is his answer, because it doesn't make any sense at all. And so he asks, and he does, and then she's like, we're gonna need more help on this. And he's like, I got someone we can call, John Berthel, who is completely just like man-child up now. Like, his first argument is like this dude's supposed to be a really great hitman killer, but he acts like a mad toddler in dumb scenes. That, like, those two things just don't go together. You wouldn't have somebody be this sophisticated at killing in the first one to now he's like, he's crying about not being able to adopt, like, I think it's like a Shiba Inu type puppy 2 weeks earlier from the shelter where he adopts it at 8 weeks old. Like, that's the joke. It's not funny. It's
you know what this like stinks of to me is like so many movies nowadays feel like disjointed in like they like previs all the action sequences or something like that, and they like shoot them, and then they just kind of like get people in a room and they just like, all right, say some stuff and we'll test audience it, and then come back and like, they didn't think you were funny enough. You should be funnier. And it's like, well, aren't I like having a mental breakdown last scene? Yeah, but like the audience started getting bored, so now this scene needs to be funny. Like, it's not because of like the flow of what's happening. You know what I mean? Like that's. And
yeah, I agree.
They greenlit The Accountant 2 because they had a whiteboard somewhere and it has a name of celebrities on it. And they're like, what things can we make a sequel of that have celebrities in it, right? You see them doing it all the time right now. And for a long time with like every single show that has like people who are more famous than they were when the show came out is getting a remake, right? But that's every single show. A show is on TV and then it becomes more popular. So like, and then the people on it become more famous. So they're just like, running through everything. But then at a certain point, the person that made that decision hands it off to like some other producer, and they're like, "What the fuck am I supposed to do with the accountant too?" They greenlit the accountant too because Ben Affleck and John Barenthal said they would fucking do it, so we got to do it. But we can't make a sequel to the accountant.
Dude,
It was
what's
a
crazy
paper
is it
thin idea to
ends,
begin with.
it ends as like a trilogy cliffhanger on some stupid bullshit. And I don't even need to talk about the rest of it. The point being is that every reason for a transition scene is because the plot needs it to move forward. That's it. There's nothing convincing. The character development is, in this instance, is the first instance I've ran across where it's overbaked and overdone. It's to the point of like, okay, you haven't seen each other in 8 years. I don't think that you just go back to being like how you were brothers like 24 years ago.
But like the whiteboard, right? They're just trying to get back. They're just trying to get to two celebrities talking to each other, whether it's on Jimmy Kimmel or like in the Avengers, right? It's like, hey, how many celebrities can we have talk to each other? Right?
Okay, so that brings me on to my next point.
Like they can't even make the accountant like they used to make it. Like you can't have those two people like not in the same scene. Now it's like, oh well, they'll just film them in two different closets and make it look like they were together, right? Like it's about
that's
faces
fair.
on screens.
So movie magic.
Well, but
Ryan,
I think I saw some background on this where all the writers had originally to go off of was it was an Amazon ad for the Capital One What's in Your Wallet girl. Because it was Jennifer Gardner, aka Ben Affleck's wife, and she was like, "Give my husband a job, make him an accountant," and that's all they had to go off of. So this whole thing has been a product of nepotism.
The original
and probably
from Amazon ads
and probably alcoholism, because I think Ben Affleck's got a little problem there too from the media.
I wanted you to be able to get out your review in its totality, so I stayed muted for a while. But here's my actual review. I thought of that joke like 20 minutes ago, but my actual comment is: doesn't every film just want to be John Wick? You know what I mean? Like like John Wick 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 all want to be John Wick 1 as well. You know what I mean?
I
and like
agree.
maybe they wanted to be the Matrix or something, but like every film wants to be John Wick of this variety.
I will add on to that because I 100% agree with you. I think there are two trends that made these movies happen. And I think it started with Chris Pratt, Guardians of the Galaxy 1. Where you take a really dramatic movie and you add the main character is super quippy, but he's like actually funny, so it works. And then it was spaced out enough as a trilogy where every time it hit. And then just what Ryan said, it's like, and then John Wick comes on and they're like, there's only 100 words in this movie or something. And it's like, but the action, right? So they're like, people love quips. People love action. Who cares if it makes sense? Throw it together. Like...
Yeah, they're just like, because the plot of John Wick is just like a man's dog is killed and he goes on a rampage.
Well, like the difference,
and then but like the plot of The Accountant is like,
but his wife died too.
Goes on a rampage.
It was a gift from his dying wife. I mean, that I don't know. I don't know. You pair that with a dog, like whoever thought of that? That's pretty genius, right? Like because we accept
I understand.
Yeah, we accept.
But this is the thing. Like it is clever and it is motivating, and people are like, if you killed my dead wife's dog as a gift. Any amount of violence is permissible.
And Mike, go ahead and say that interesting fact about dogs and empathy towards them versus empathy towards humans, which I see that's on the tip of your tongue.
Good point.
I don't have. I'm supposed to have an interesting fact. I don't have one.
No, I have an
Like,
interesting
you're the
fact.
dog
I just wanted to
empathy
see if you knew it. Okay, so actually, the reason the reason
Mike,
that
we asked you to
concept-
research empathy on dogs for dog owners.
I forgot.
This is crazy. You're unprepared.
The reason John Wick 1 works so well and we can hold a whole franchise up upon it is because we humans as a species have trouble empathizing with our fellow man. And science has proven through, Pavlov's dogs and a bunch of research that we take a animal's death, especially a dog, man's best friend. We all agree that is like, you see like someone doing harm to an animal or a dead animal because you've had an animal that's been your best friend. Like you empathize more with a dead animal than you do your fellow neighbors and human beings around you. So, and then you take into the fact, it's like, and his wife died at a young age with cancer, and it was her last dying gift. And then some guy comes in and steals your fucking car that you've been working on as your side project your whole life, and has the audacity to kick your fucking puppy so hard that it kills it.
Yeah.
I mean, we were all like, yeah,
I mean,
dude, everybody should die.
Does anyone other than Ryan think that John Wick 1's a bad movie? Like, no, I like John Wick 1. I think the rest of them are dog shit. Like,
yeah, but it's propped up on that mantle.
Yeah, because John Wick 1 had to be good and people cared. Right? Yeah. And so like the other ones are limping the other ones are limping along on the fact that like other people have to care like behind the scenes, right? As other people are raising up, like the one thing that the John Wick stuff does seem to have is like they're letting like the guys who are doing the stunts then go up to being like the directors of them and like moving people up through the process, which is good, which means you have people down there like still trying to do the stunts and they're cool. But like you go to John Wick 4, I didn't see the last one. Does he die in the last one even though they're doing another one? I don't remember. The one with the staircase, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And it's just like there's these sequences that are like interestingly enough, right? Like, but like it's the same thing that Tom Cruise and everyone else is doing. It's just all this CGI bullcrap over top of everything, and like it's like cool shots and like ideas over like functional storytelling. So I'm just watching John Wick headshot people with like bulletproof helmets until one of them goes in. But it's not the same number of shots every time or anything. He's not doing. They're just like it's all just for like these beats of action that they have worked out in their process, right?
Yeah, you love beating action. You beat out. Do you beat off action with your hands? Do you do it all the time? How often do you beat off?
This podcast has become sick and perverted since the week I've been gone.
God, and Ryan's so excited. He's literally like glistening.
Oh my god!
So Mike's choking on a hit over there.
I've never been happier to be back.
No,
but this is actually a great. This is actually a great transition. Well, do we want to keep going with John?
No, you. If you guys, this is the next segment is called "Open to New Ideas." With your
well, that's good because Ryan has one.
Ryan,
can't relate.
No last name. Ryan, if you had to come on, let's say, a podcast with your friends, and then all of a sudden the theme of the podcast is like the same but different.
Yeah,
I wanted to add a little touch of your special blend of chaos and perpetuity and big words and like juxtapositions and things like that. Like, what would you like to add if you could create a segment? Go.
A segment?
Anything
well, this is really extensive, to be honest. Okay.
If I'm putting you in the hot seat, okay. He's already got one. He's got one.
I already have notes.
Right,
well, I have two segments.
I'm going to go on mute for this. You can cook, buddy. Cook.
Okay, great. So the first thing I want to say is that I think that discussions of The Accountant and The Accountant 2 and John Wick are a lot more topical and modern than when I was absent and you guys were talking about how high a man's voice can get when he is castrated at a young age.
Hey, that video's doing well.
The Last Castrati? Because that's a piece of real history. But anyway.
The Last Castrato.
Yeah.
Castrato.
Mike Allen thought you would like it. I don't know.
And Mike Allen specifically said, Ryan, take note of this. Christianity. That was all I could pick up from the audio.
Honestly,
I swear. Do we have subtitles? Because
I think
you were like,
have subtitles.
It's Christian, and I think you were talking about it in reference as like choir boys or something.
Well, the original question I just had was like, what is a soprano? Is it the high one or the low one? And then Mike Allen said, well, it's either the high one or the low one. And then we went really far, but it turns out that he was a soprano, and soprano's the high one.
I have something to say about this because this is actually I actually have a point to make about this because that was
wait. Can I clarify? Your new segment is just old business because we can keep it.
This is old business.
Okay,
but I'm
going to write it down run a show. So
I'm going to lead it into my new ideas for the pod, okay? Because I had a lot of revelations as I was listening to you,
like the Book of Genesis.
Frankly.
And the Book of Revelations,
Christianity. I just want to make a little note. I want to make a note. Maybe one of the segments of the pod could be Mike's tangent, because Mike started this out, and he said, quote, do I not sound podcast ready? Am I too a cappella? Do I need to be a little bit more soprano? And then you said, speak with your diaphragm. And then Mike said, what is a soprano? I don't know why I'm giving Mike my own voice because it's not what he sounds like at all. And then Mike said, what is a soprano? Cut to 20 minutes later, Mike again returns to it. He said, how did we even get started on talking about sopranos? And it was just you making shit up and then diverting the podcast for like 10 minutes. And then you're like, how did we even get started on this topic? Let's get back to the point, Mike Allen. Why are we so distracted? And it's like, you talked about this fucking bullshit, and Mike Allen had to bring up an interesting point about a man being castrated in 1922, and then you're like, how did we even get here? You're how we got here. And now, I'm how we got here. Okay, so that was my first note that I wrote down. Then, I have official king of the podcast is Mike, whatever. That's fine. Okay?
Oh, good.
Now, this gets into ideas. I've broken them down into 3 segments. There's a bulleted list, a numbered list, three numbers, and each has an A and a B to it. Okay, ready? So, the first thing that happened last week, and I swear, I know I have a lot of preamble. I love to talk. I love to chatter. But this is leading somewhere. Mike Allen said, this podcast is about relating things in real life to the show. The economy of nothing is the reason. The economy of nothing is the reason that you have to fill out 50 forms just to do a tax return when they could do it all for you. It's an illusion where you think that you can get ahead, but they just take it away. I don't know how much you know about this. This is so fucking true. This could be done. It turns out that the U.S. government already knows exactly how much you owe in taxes. You don't have to fill out shit. They could just send you a bill for your exact taxes, but every year they're lobbied by, I don't know, like big accountancy. This is why the accountant too is so pertinent. They're lobbied by TurboTax, etc., whoever the fuck owns TurboTax. They're lobbied so that like there's this intermediate step. What TurboTax does is they insert themselves and they lobby into every American citizen to make your tax life fucking hell. Because literally, you could just you could PayPal the U.S. government. You actually can't. Like, you could just PayPal your taxes because they know what you earn, what you're expected to pay to them, right? That's why the IRS does an audit of you. Like, they already know, right? But there's all of this bullshit that's added on. So, Mike Allen said this, and I was like, all of gears in my brain, the 2 gears that I have in my brain started ticking away, okay? So I was like, so my first idea for the pod is that it's more holistic about the structure of the season, but I think that there needs to be a Utopia planet. Okay? So I think that there needs to be some Utopia planet. I already know that we have Draconaria, we're returning to it, but I think that there should be some kind of Utopia planet where they all visit really early, and then the captain, this is going to branch out into other ideas, okay? So I think the captain wants to keep things really hush-hush when they go to this planet, this, like, Utopia. And I think that there's a number of reasons for it, but we can decide on which one we like best. Like, maybe he deactivates their transponder, or he's like, we're going off-grid, we're just going to enter this planet. I was thinking, like, oh, maybe it's Jupiter-esque, and they, like, will send drones out to planets, and then they crash through the atmosphere and burn up or whatever. Or, yeah, whatever it is, I think that there's some kind of, like, discovery that the captain and other people make where he wants to keep a place that's, like, isolated from the Nothing Corporation, isolated, because he knows what happens when the Nothing Corporation finds a new market. And they invade a planet and make them, like, they seek out resources and try to, like, find new markets, and then, like, they kind of absorb people into the Nothing Corporation. And I think, this is me just cutting to the quick so that we can all be thinking about this through my next 2 points of A and B's as well. When Mike Allen said, let's do improv, the podcast could just be 20 minutes of us improving something interesting, I was thinking it would be interesting if we improved a situation, a scenario, in which the characters that were in the truck, not Cheyenne, but, like, the people in the truck, the crew, have to, like, have to take on a new role that they're not used to, aka be a spy, aka be Mike, whatever the fuck his name is from Burn Notice. Like, if you think about, but if you think about the captain having a motivation that he works for the Nothing Corporation because he has to. I see your hand.
No,
he works for the Nothing Corporation because he has to, but he wants to keep the Nothing Corporation out of everyone's pockets as much as possible. It's like the opposite of the Prime Directive, or it's his own Prime Directive of Star Trek, where he's like, I want the Nothing Corporation to interfere with nothing I touch.
Yeah, let Mike go because he's dying. He's pulling out his notepad.
I'm sorry.
No.
But that's just
you were saying really good
A.
things. You were really saying really good
All right,
things.
keep going.
I think a good.
Yeah,
No. I'm saying that when you talked about the improv segment just a second ago, what occurred to me is a thought, an idea for a segment that you might be able to do that would benefit in Mike's creation of the scenes of the show for your character. And what my first thought was that I had in my head was, oh my gosh, I totally know how we always end up with like 2 and 2.5 hour episodes when Ryan's on. I get that now. Two was two.
Not me just I didn't breathe for the past 10 minutes talking about this idea.
And we just let you cook. Two, the idea you gave me was Cheyenne in her little babushka ships, right? And it could be like Cheyenne's inner circle, like, or Cheyenne's like board meeting, or Cheyenne's whatever room, Cheyenne's, executive board meeting. And it's just Ryan doing what you did there. But what I need from you is to play other characters and argue with yourself. But I think you could do that better than anyone on any subject that you
have
to talk
no
on.
idea.
Yes.
You have no idea.
Dude, is that something you think we could do for the show? If you can just do it whenever it comes to you.
Well, like here's what I think would be funny if I could riff on the riff of the riff here. It's like a all improv / sketch, which of course I hate both improv comedy and sketch comedy, so I hate all of this. But
that's crazy.
It's improv, it's a sketch. But what we do is it's like PR. She's doing PR for the Nothing Corporation, right? And so then like me and Mike can play like reporters or something who are like going like, so why did the Nothing Corporation not give them back those bones? Why did
the Nothing Corporation cut all my family's Medicaid? Ooh, a little too close to home in a universe, distant future.
Wait, was that the end of your idea, Mike?
Well, no.
I just thought that'd be funny. Like, I feel like within everyone's life, we have little things that make us crazy about ourselves. That we like are taking a shower arguments we have with ourselves, right? And what I think, based off the way that you just described everything right there, like I know that was just so you were ready to say that you've been thinking about that, so you were like delivering it fast so you wouldn't forget it. My thing is,
yes,
that right there, from like a creation standpoint for Mike to have Cheyenne scenes of being like what is motivating your character on certain things, I think that is kind of how maybe you display some of those ideas for the character, because then it could be her rangers like giving their credence, and like maybe you could make little personalities for each one that is your characters arguing back to each other, or they don't have to argue, they could agree or whatever, but whatever you want to make it. And I'm not saying it's something you have to do, but if something in your life dawns on you that's like just like that tax thing you were talking about, like imagine if you framed that tax thing, even if you just talked about it just the way it was, but using your little interns to go back and forth on it. I just think your mind would be able to do it.
I do think that I could probably do that. I think that I want to also take a step back because it's actually point 3. Why is it point 3? Because this came up in the sequence of the podcast I was listening to you all talking. But basically, Mike was questioning at the end, the point of the pod. And I do think that is a salient question that we haven't actually addressed. And his response, your response, Mike Allen, to Mike's question, also you, I guess I'm talking to both of you, so it's weird when I'm like, you. But anyway, your response was, you said, oh, what if we took 20 minutes to, do some improv and just
As
come
our
up with
characters.
interesting ideas and dialogue, and then we like riffed off of it and then made something interesting. Like that could be like the
Idea.
substance that the pod creates.
And let's stop talking about it. We're all three here. Let's just do a
Yes.
little improv session as our characters.
Ryan.
Okay,
has
well,
not
just
finished
hold
his
on, hold
point
on, hold on.
A, C through D
Hold
of
on.
his.
Okay, because I do have other points, but like
With a
I was
Post-it
thinking
addendum.
that what this is actually making me think of, I have always taken the pod to be, if it's helpful to Mike Bedon, then like it's useful and it's good.
Mike
okay?
Bedon has told
Because,
me that
like,
I have full control over the segments of the podcast. It is now my podcast, and you are my
my God.
co-host because
Okay,
You
great.
should-
this
you should
is
go.
this is the creative juice.
I'm just here to hang out, man.
Here's the reason why. Because
We're just here to have
based
fun.
off what I think I know about this group and the dynamics of us, there's two things I know that certainly work.
Yeah.
We have really good banter about the dumbest shit, the coolest stuff, and just the profound, right?
You made
And
us
we
talk about The
also
Accountant
really
too.
like
I'm gonna put that in the
creating-
dumbest shit
I
category.
put it in the profound category.
Yeah,
I think not.
I guess
Did you
I'm
hear
the
my
coolest,
takedown of
you know?
autism in Hollywood?
Oh my God. Don't make me remember.
But you know what I mean. Like, and the other side is that we love to create,
Yep.
but we are not a Ryan and myself are not
Uh-huh.
the linear
Speaking for
storytellers. Like, we like to jump around. You're probably ADD or ADHD, Ryan, honestly, because we jump around from characters to characters.
Wow. This is not
Yeah.
a this
And
is
could
not a
create
podcast of
randomly,
medical
but when you
advice.
have to put us into an
Consulting
environment
First
where we have to,
autism shaming, and now ADHD.
so
attacks.
the point I'm making is that's
Yeah.
enough for Mike to create shorts and content and maybe some storyboards for the show that he might use. But I think what that's going to
Yes.
do for Mike, from just focusing on those two things, it's going to constantly give him the inspiration to create what each episode's about.
And I think that is legitimate. But the thing I wanted to mention, the reason why I came up with this spy
Right, Mike?
idea, well,
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, I'm not. Yeah,
I
no.
need to- I just-
You
okay.
said you were so bold. You were like, "This is my podcast now," and blah blah blah. And then you're like, "Is that right, Mike?" I'm like, "No, be your own man."
well, I mean, we still need to be like productive for you at the end of the day.
That's pretty good. You should
that's
make that a
my,
short. I demand you make
That's
it a
my
short.
assessment. No, but,
I
like,
am the
what I was
short
thinking
king
about-
now. Shorts are reels. Ryan, stop talking. I'm the host. Just kidding. You can talk now.
Wow.
But when you were talking about
Regular Greg
improv,
Gutfeld over here.
so I've actually been listening to an improv podcast non-fucking stop for the past like month. Okay, it's called Artist on Artist
Well,
on
we've been on
Artist
for
on
2
Artist.
months, so that's a little offensive, but continue.
Okay, so it's called Artist on Artist on Artist on Artist, and it's for comedians that they adopt a role.
That's not what
of,
it's
like
called.
an improv.
Is that really what it's called?
It's literally shout out if artist on artist on artist on artist.
Let's
Actors on
collab.
Actors?
Let's collab. We need
You wish.
improvers.
You wish
What do
we
you
could
mean?
fucking collab.
They
with
wish
these
they
people.
could get animated. I bet. I bet.
Absol-
Do you think they wish they
Maybe
could get
they
animated?
do.
I bet maybe they do.
But they're also filmed live. But no, like
Yeah,
so the
which is
episode
more
I'm
boring.
watching right now.
Thank
Can we
you.
get
The
Hugh
episode I'm
Jackman?
watching right now on YouTube that I plugged into YouTube while I was waiting for you guys to log in this chat room for 45 minutes when I was just here by myself was they are 4 directors. They're pretending, right? They're improving as 4 directors of in-flight Delta safety videos. So they're like 4 people have directed these in-flight safety videos, and they're just talking about directing these fucking videos. It's hilarious, obviously. Like, the premise is funny, as you might imagine. Whatever. I don't need to explain why they're funny. Humor is subjective. But what I was thinking, compared to you and Mike, like, pretending or whatever, like, improving as being in the truck on the way to a intergalactic house of waffles, is that I think that this improv segment, if we do want to pursue it, is more compelling for us as, like, people that are doing it. Even if I'm like one of the nephews or whatever, if we perceive ourselves, so like we're going to the cowboy planet, so like we need to be cowboys, and then on the way there we're being batshit crazy, and like everyone when they land just has to like live with the improv that they've established in the truck in the first 2 minutes of the show. That's what I think would be more interesting than like a kind of like trying to generate cold opens from The Office, which was a reference you made, maybe just to Dwight and like the suit that the Mr. Green was wearing. But I think that like if we want to improv, I think it should be with a kind of I think we should do maybe like one segment of it if you want to like test it out. And I think it should be like, okay, we're going to Draconaria, and well, Draconaria is a bad example because I think that the captain anywhere Cheyenne is, the captain's ruse will fall away.
Well, like what
when she arrives.
I think we
because she does not care about
so like
this
what we
ruse.
should actually do, right, is like
Okay.
the captain shouldn't be there for the first one because the captain is too much
Sure.
of like a hang up, right? Because it's like he's too lore relevant, right? Every moment I
Yeah.
have in my head of the captain is like a filmed moment, right? Whereas even in my mind, like the other people are kind of off doing other things, but the show is kind of by making him the protagonist, saying this is the guy we're gonna follow, right? If you think about the show The Shield, which you might not know, I've been watching, Ryan.
Mike, can
right?
you put up?
You just
Can wait for this real quick. I think we should have a protagonist tracker every time it's used.
this will be the last time.
Genius.
This is, okay.
No. I think it's great. Use it as much as you want, and
I'll
try
never
not
say
to
it
use
again.
it. But I'm just saying, it's going to be funny.
It's now
Protagonist
derailed the
trackers,
thing I
let's do
was
it.
saying, so I'll never say it again. I'm sorry I brought it up again.
That should be my T-shirt. That should be a like readout on my T-shirt
No, it
and or
should-
my hat. It's
you're-
like
you're-
a protagonist
Cheyenne's
counter.
protagonist tracker.
Your hat should
Cheyenne's
say like protagonist or something.
It literally should say protagonist.
Life
yeah.
protagonist.
But no, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, but like, right, like you always, Vic Mackey never does anything. You know what Vic Mackey did
It
the
would
whole
be
time, right?
protagonist, but with a question
Yeah.
mark.
Vic, whatever.
Because
you mean, like,
you're always like, who's the
captain-
protagonist? Who's the protagonist?
Well,
with the
I think part of the
Whatever.
problem we run into a little bit, right, is like
Mhm.
just with that, and also I have a pitch for the second half of this episode, which will be next week's episode. Though maybe we can do an episode next week. I guess we can talk about it. Is like I have an idea for like a way that we could do this, and if we wanted to try and like in a more abbreviated way, a quick way to not get hung up on like what everyone's doing is just not having the captain there. Because part of the problem with the improv of the captain is it has to be the scene because the captain's character moves the plot, right? Like
Yes, like every moment, like the captain doesn't have off-screen time.
yeah, like I can't improv
I
the
get
captain's decisions. They're like the story, right? Do you know what I mean?
Well,
Whereas
but
like
here-
if Mr. Green and Cheyenne are hanging out on a side mission, as long as it's like Mr. Green's not like murdering people, it stays consistent with the character we've developed so far.
Listen.
Well, but I think
Ryan,
Yeah.
Ryan, you're, and I don't mean to derail you. It's just, it's like muscle memory right now. We're going back to the old ways of things, and we're not wasting time.
I shouldn't
on
have
that.
said the word
Right. Okay.
But
So
no.
like,
No,
my thing is like,
what I mean is,
I-
yeah.
what I'm saying is, I get what you're saying, but it doesn't have to be about that. It can just be us improving. Because
Totally.
this is also going to be just another like think about it from a business. This would be a revenue stream, right? Visual radio is a revenue stream of what is the economy of nothing website. So we were as a business, the economy of nothing would work like this. It'd be like a business tree, it'd flow down from revenue stream based. We were going to eventually have we have a merch store. It's very
eventually
basic.
have a merch store. How dare you?
Yeah, we have a
sir.
merch store right
have a
now.
tpublic.com or whatever.
This is going
buy
to
your
be
merch.
visual radio, which is whatever we want it to be, right? And and I just really want to.
I haven't gotten any of the proceeds, but maybe that's what happens when you are COVID.
I
sick.
did
There
buy
are no
I did buy
proceeds.
I did buy the hat I made. So we will get $1,
Yeah.
but also I paid $15, so I think I should just get my $1 back.
Brutal.
Yeah,
Is
you're-
that
you're-
cool?
you're- Just
So
a
merch store,
$14
visual
discount.
radio, and then there's going to be the cartoon.
I'm just
right?
I'm happy I set it up just to get the
And then-
the shirt or the hat.
But
I'm happy.
we can. What I'm saying is like a lot of this can be influenced for the cartoon. A lot of it could be like just improv segments. Really, whatever he wants to do creatively wise, because he keeps switching it up. So it's like it doesn't have to be about like us fleshing out details about anything, unless we want it to. And we're
I
about to go down a
completely
long
agree.
road of like protagonist arguments, and I could just tell
I
by
am
the
not
heat.
engaging with that kind of thing. I'm not responding to anything Mike says. No, I'm just kidding.
All right,
No,
so
I wasn't gonna go into a
Okay, can I?
protagonist
All right.
fight.
Speaking of things that won't play well on the podcast, can you guys see my screen? Oh wait, no, hold on. It needs to be like
Yeah,
this.
we can see it.
Okay, so you
We
can
can see the town,
Okay,
the
right.
3D rendered town.
All right, so this is the town on Brenner 7, right? And this is the scene
I'm seeing it.
where there's like a standoff, right? You see, here's Mr. Green. He's up on a clock tower covering the
Great.
captain as they. So, like, what I'm saying is like part of the reason, like, I'm saying like what I really would like to do at some point, and I
still
think
here.
that like I'm not trying to put a. What I want to do is get to a point where we can improv anything. And my whole thing about the captain stuff was just like, oh well, it could like slow us down, right? If it's like, oh, what do they talk about on the way to Brenner 7? That's like super established, but like the things that like at some point I would like to start like improv, like quote unquote improving or whatever, right? Is like there's moments in like the timeline or the sequence or whatever, right? Where they're in like different places and it's like, okay, well they need to have a conversation here and they need to have a conversation when they're down there. You know what I mean? And like from like a storyboarding standpoint, but I'll switch back because has to be terrible podcast. And I won't show
oh
this anymore.
my god, it's the worst. I wish I had like a. I think I'm gonna buy like a noise machine so I can like make little noises, like animate when you guys say something like boring or something, be like boing.
Yeah, you can get a soundboard. You can code it to your keyboard, I think.
I'd love a soundboard. That's what I'm gonna
Yeah.
get. Buy
you
soundboard.
have to run it through an NDI to get it to play on Descript, I think.
Nerd.
Or I could just literally have it right outside of my.
Oh yeah, I guess you could. Well, yeah,
Just on your phone.
We'll just get it
right?
on your phone then, and just push your phone.
Yeah, where do I find
Okay, so let me
sounds
just-
like that?
Let me back up for a second and just discuss my motivations. Okay.
Okay.
Like I said, I
Yeah,
have
let's
listed
just
my
go back-
motivations lower.
Okay.
So what I was
We were
thinking
still on your
about, like,
point
what
three.
is? Well, I think
This is
like
old
what is the
business.
podcast? I think if the podcast is something that I'm thinking about the timeline of an episode. Let's just say it's 20 minutes for sanity's sake, right? Like there's 20 minutes of the actual show, not the podcast. Of like an
Yeah,
episode
like
of the
a
show is
22
20 minutes.
Yeah.
22 minutes, right? Like, I don't know if y'all have ever seen Star Trek. Sorry, we didn't have it as homework to look at. But in Star Trek, there is the opening like song sequence with the credits where they're like space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise, blah blah blah, right? But then immediately following that, I think that that's like the theme song of our show. But immediately following that, Captain Picard or Kirk will do like a little voiceover sometimes to like catch people up to speed for where they're at in a mission, and they'll just be like Starship year 2792. Like,
Starship Year 2000.
we've entered we've entered Klingon territory and we now have like come into first contact
No, we
with
have
the
our
Vulcan
nerd
ship
cred on the
that was
internet
broken
now.
down. Whatever. Right?
Starship
But
Year
like
2000.
I'm trying to think about what you want out of the show. In my vision, when you asked a question of Mike Allen last week, that was like, how much is the dispatch in the show? Right?
Yes,
Like for
that's
The
a-
Office,
that's a
they asked
genuine
themselves this question. Yeah, like they're like, oh, how long is the cold open? Right? Like, and I think that I am envisioning, I guess when I'm thinking of these ideas of like, oh, are they spies that are going to a new planet and we're like going to improv like fresh characters or personas that Mr. Green and the captain and the nephews are playing? Is that going to be like the first 2 minutes of the show, or like the Captain Picard like here's a catch up?
Well-
or do we want it to be like a dispatch thing, or do we want it to be
Well,
Cheyenne
so-
saying like this is like the mission criteria?
So
or
so that's
something?
why the
because
real
I think
like
that
well like that
it's
like
formulaic.
that but like yeah, so like the real that's why the dispatch becomes the question of the formula, right? Is because it really does become like a runtime question of like, oh, well, no, like if the dispatch is like a set of like characters in the show, then the villains aren't, right? Because that is then like too many groups well, in a 22-minute show, that's too many groups to balance, right? You can't have like someone has to like the villains have to become secondary or the dispatch does, and that can switch out like per episodes. Where like there's some episodes that take place in the dispatch, and obviously that's the whole thing. But like the question is, as currently constituted, right? Everyone is just kind of characters that they see at the dispatch, right? But if they become more fleshed out or something, then it could become more of the show. But if no one has like
and you just brought up a new segment that I had an idea for.
It's called the
Catching
hook.
Up. It's called Catching Up with Characters, where Mike Badon pulls up the Visual Radio Codex, and we go through one character of the week of the show that doesn't have a backstory, and maybe we flesh it out. Let's go, baby. Because I'm sick and tired of hearing about y'all talking about the dynamics of whatever the hell that was.
Okay, well, to be clear, when you discussed this with me,
just go to the Codex. That's what I want you to do. Codex.
You were going to pick something out of the Codex, so I'm obviously like now like going to economyofnothing.com/codex/ would we like a human, an alien, a creature, or a robot?
Since we were talking about dispatch, give me a character that's going to be share on the screen a character that's going to be in dispatch that we know for certain that we don't have a backstory to. There's some dude that's like a bear guy that talks to bears. Like that could be.
Okay. Well, he is a human. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about
human
Lance.
Bear whisperer.
Let's talk about Lance. Where's Lance isn't on here. Why isn't Lance here? Oh well, Lance. Oh, nope. Bad loading. My internet's been shit. Well, if Mike Allen had
the creator of our show, everyone,
done the thing he
the
had
next
said
Zuckerberg,
he was gonna do the thing, but he didn't do the thing. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I think that even like the opening segment to me could just be like Mississippi.
You're not taking us off track. We're doing this segment, Ryan.
I'm just vamping while this is happening.
No,
I guess you can just cut it out.
You turn a vamp into like a new thing every time.
No, that's what y'all did with Soprano.
Yes, content,
I'm
baby.
going to avoid that.
All right.
Yes. Lance from the Dispatch.
So I only know a couple things about Lance, Mike. And that is that Lance is the talks to the bears, and the bears that refers to are the Pooh crew, which is one of the crews. There's our main crew is the Moonshine crew. You have Cheyenne, she's on the Sunshine crew. We have the Rough Riders, we have the Red Hooks, and we have a couple more that are escaping my brain right now. But one of them is the Pooh crew, which is a group of bears. I think the bears kind of change out. I think right now I'm thinking a polar bear, a panda bear, a brown bear, and a black bear.
No, you gotta have a grizzly bear in there, dude.
I don't know the difference. Brown bear, black bear. That's two.
So
those
brown,
are the standard
brown
bears.
and black
There's two standard bears.
They're the same type of bear.
So
brown and black bears are the same.
All right. There's two standard bears, okay, and then there's a panda bear and a polar bear. I have an idea at some point one of them gets replaced with like a koala, but already the panda's not a real bear. Are pandas real bears? I don't know.
Yeah, but I like all of that. I just think that if the Pooh crew has an arch nemesis, it should be a grizzly bear. It is the most fiercest of all the bears. And as someone who's lived in Alaska, I can attest to that.
Well, then I guess one of them should be a grizzly, right? Like
lore drop.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a question right now. Like I don't have an opinion. Like I'm like, what's the funniest combination of four bears? Is the real question.
You have to have a grizzly bear. Like you can have a black bear. I'd turn the brown bear into a grizzly.
Koala's funny. The koala's the funniest one because it's not a real bear, and you can also have it have an Australian accent, and it's small and spunky, and it probably has like a cigarette in its mouth or something.
Well, and you can make the grizzly bear like the really strong, like dumb oaf, but like it's like really mad all the time.
Yeah.
Like it can get really mad. Like and his name could be Jerry.
I was trying to I'm trying to remember
this is a lot of background for Larry's backstory.
Lance.
It's Lance's backstory.
Lance's backstory.
Some other backstory. So I guess if we go back to Lance, there is a joke that like there's always a Lance, but it's a different guy. But like they always just call him Lance. Well, because like they just don't last very long because bears don't talk very much, right? And he shops to talk to the bears.
Okay.
So is Lance a humanoid that keeps getting recycled?
Yeah, but this Lance has been around for a long time, but people just like assume that he's a different guy because there's always been a different Lance, but this has been the same Lance for a while.
Okay.
Okay.
And that could be really good backstory for Lance. Could be kind of what they do for Mickey 17, where um, they clone a new version of Lance in this scenario, where this new like if Lance this Lance right here, let's say this Lance is 137 Lance, and the reason he's been alive so long is because he escaped a death, but they couldn't retrieve his body, so then they cloned another humanoid, like printed one out on like a roller, and this I don't know what number I just said, but this is like Lance 157, and then that Lance goes on and does all the Lance dumb bear shit that nobody wants to do and keeps getting killed, and then this Lance is just always in the shadows, and he learned how to talk to bears. That's it. He's like friends with the bears.
Yeah, yes, that's like what like my assumption, like you know, because you don't want to. I haven't thought about it too much. It was really just kind of like, oh, he was the first one ever to be nice to him, and then, but like they kind of want to like keep to themselves or whatever. So they're like they all just like kind of like maintain the oh, don't talk to the bear. That's the only guy that can talk to the bears, and they keep replacing him. You know what I mean? They just kind of like keep it up because then HR leaves them alone.
I love how he says, "You know what I mean?" I'm like, "No, I don't. I don't know what you mean."
You don't know what I mean? What part of this
No,
don't
I
you
don't.
understand? Actually,
I
is
just
it the
like
bears
Jim
part
Bear.
or the guy
I just like if Lance is just do the Mickey 17 thing with Lance. That's interesting, and we could do twists and stuff on it. It's sci-fi. Why you gotta make it so much fucking harder than it is? Because it's your idea.
Well, my idea is a lot simpler, actually. It's just the guy that talks
But it's
to
not as
bears.
good. Mine is gold. The devils are in the details, Mike.
Well, isn't the
The
guy who
details
wrote
matter.
Mickey 17's idea gold?
And it
And
was
whoever
a
he
great
stole it from originally, the Prestige
yeah. Well, who
or
gives
something.
a shit? Who? It's the same concept, just wrapped in a different package. But it was one guy that said the difference between doing the right thing and doing the wrong thing is trying, and doing the right thing for the show is the version I pitch.
Okay, he could be a Mickey
Who-
17 situation. I'm
Who
fine.
was the guy that came up with the concept of twins? Was it God? Let's give God his props for the idea of twins.
Also,
I thought
can we
Mickey
do
17
some-
was about clones.
It was, but I basically pitched just the our universe version of Mickey 17.
No, but this is
And
such
that
a, this is exactly
won
what I'm
an
talking
award
about.
or got nominated or something.
Okay, this is
Yeah.
exactly what I'm talking about. I have not seen Mickey 17, but I think the idea of like a Mickey 17 clone, aka Lance, who like deals with high risk like teams or whatever they're called, dispatchees, and maybe it's just one dude who like says that he died, but he claims like the insurance policy that the company had on him, or like the new clone gets like a starting bonus or something because it's like risky and dangerous. He's like claiming this every so often whenever he like needs more money. I think that like this is what I meant when I was talking about the taxes. Like the government just could send you like a PayPal for your taxes every year.
I like
Is
the
I
idea
think
that
that, like,
Lance
if we-
knows how to game the system. I like that.
Well,
He's
yeah,
been around
exactly.
long
Like
enough,
if we
yeah.
if we tether my like grand scope of the idea, which I was mentioning earlier, is like it's kind of abstract, but also it's like I think when I was mentioning like there should be a utopia planet like Jupiter or whatever the fuck, like I think there should be some version of like people and planets and whatever that's uncorrupted, and then we see like every episode should be an example to the
Episode.
audience of the Nothing Corporation like corrupting the world and the universe and a planet. And I think if we saw some kind of like communist utopia at the beginning, and then we went back in the prelude or the penultimate episode, and then we're like, and then the captain shows the nephews in particular, like this is what happens when the Nothing Corporation gets its hands on you, like sinks its teeth
Yes.
into you and thinks that you're just like another market for them to exploit. This is what happens.
And I
And
thi-
then that like kicks off the kind of rebellion. I think that that's like the kind of demonstration we want to make throughout it, where it's like every like the economy of nothing, and it's also something Mike Allen that you said, which made me think about all this shit. Where I think you mentioned it. I already mentioned about the tax returns, and you're like, oh, this is the reason why like things in real life that are so like affronting to you is I was thinking that This sounds psycho as well. Okay, this is my idea too. But I think that like every planet should have a different year that it is. Like when they arrive, this is also partly based on Star Trek too. Like this is the year 2372 98
Yeah,
whatever.
Starship year
Like
2000.
I think yeah, exactly. Like I think that like they should arrive and the year that it is on any given planet per like the annoyance. Oh yeah, Mike Allen, you said this last episode where you're like, oh, you have to like go to Tower A to like talk to Susan, and in Tower
Yeah.
D, like Barry has whatever, all of that shit. We talked about that before, kind of. But I like the idea that like when the Nothing Corporation arrives at a planet, and this is what the captain is trying to avoid, they like reset the time, like the clock on that planet. It's like year zero is like is the moment that the Nothing Corporation touches down. And I think that this would be like the kids are time traveling as they're moving around all these planets because it's like year 7,000 on one planet, and then another planet they're like it's year 420. And
Yeah.
then I'm
What
like,
you're
what
saying,
the fuck is
what
this?
you're saying is all the years are BS because it matters when the sentient life on the planet started taking calendar years, like tracking it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but it matters when the sentient life took the economy of nothing's calendar. Like when the economy of nothing plants their flag on the moon, that is like time zero.
Right.
And then they move
It's
on from that, and it's just like so. Then I think there's like in
the birth of
Nothing
Jesus
Corporation.
Christ.
Exactly. In the Nothing Corporation, I'm just imagining a department of like time like correction that's navigating all of these different timelines, and then it's like, well, what time was it when you were on the planet? And then like you have to go and you have to bounce between these towers because like time itself is like being like completely fucked with, and that's like time travel as well. And I think that this also gives Alex, or like the nerdy nephew, like an inlet towards like fucking up a planet himself, and then the captain is like, look what you did to this planet. You like introduce the Nothing Corporation to this planet, and it's like a character growth moment of
Yeah.
revolution.
And
Well, you know-
dude,
And also, it's exactly
And
what you're talking about with
also-
all of the litigious bullshit,
Yeah.
and also,
bureaucratic.
you know what I
Yeah.
think this segment should be called?
Okay, great.
in all
Everything is a
honesty-
segment.
No, this segment should be
Segments,
called
break them up.
Ryan's
Monetization.
Gas Station Edibles.
I am not on a gas station edible. This
No,
is a good idea.
no,
that we should
I
implement.
really like this idea. I
No,
mean,
no, it is a good
I'm sure-
idea.
I'm
I
sure
just think
we've
you got
mentioned
it
Great.
while
I'm
you
sure-
were
We
on
can
a
still
gas
call
station
it that.
edible.
No.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
that's
know.
fine.
Yeah,
We can call it.
I'll mention like I'm sure I've said it before. I don't think I've said it on the podcast, right? That like when we've talked before about like the captain and the Nothing Corporation's relationship, and we've talked about like who's it familiar to, and like Jean-Luc Picard, and how like at the like times when he's standing up the Starfleet, like he's standing up for the Prime Directive, right? But like the Nothing Corporation is like manifest destiny, right? Like they're going to planets to
Yes.
fucking rape them, right? Like that's why they're going, right?
Yes.
Like
For the
like,
viewers
and
out
they're going to
there,
be nice,
what
and they're
is
going to bring
manifest
HR
destiny?
down, and they're going to retrain everyone and all this kind of stuff, right? So yeah, like if the captain is never try, I don't think would be ever trying to bring the Nothing Corporation with him, with like the weird dichotomy of he's using the power of the Nothing Corporation to do all his shit. Like, do you know, like he's like,
Well-
hey, I'm here from the power of the Nothing Corporation, but don't tell anyone that I'm here. Like,
Well,
Yeah.
but I think that that's the exact dichotomy that's so interesting about the captain. As I was thinking about it this past, like, I was gonna say week, but I guess I just listened to y'all yesterday on the podcast. But yeah, I think like the captain himself. I think I'm not trying to totally upend your idea of the plot, Mike, because I think that the captain could want to obscure his reasons for being on any given planet, if only because, like, let's say they go to planet B.
Dude, I love your made-up planet names because they're so terrible. Like, pick.
I was
like
about to say
Jupiter.
planet A.
Imagine if we named
Okay.
the planet Jupiter.
Yeah, you're
No,
like
okay.
Jupiter.
Keep
Like,
it-
what?
Name for a
Change the
planet.
letter Jupiter. I don't know, like
Well,
Lupiter.
First of all,
I want to say I got in
this
trouble
is-
for naming something Mars with a Z last week, and he's out here being like Planet B.
Okay. Also,
Anything.
cut to Mike Allen. I wish I had taken a note on this. Last week, you were like, "Oh, can we have an acronym for the economy of nothing, like Eon 420 69 or whatever?" You're like, "Can this have some kind of acronym?" I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" Okay, whatever. So let's say there are.
Hey, what? No, for real though. This applies to the visual radio thing. What is
I agree.
What is our radio channel number in the universe of Economy and Nothing? Like if the captain and Mr. Green turn on the radio and they can listen to our podcast in the show while in an episode of the show, how meta would that be? Right? Like us making like a joke within our own show of us driving in the car.
Mike Allen, I'm so glad you brought this up. I need to make this point right now. It's something I thought of earlier as well. What if this podcast was Captain Picard, like, introducing people to the episode? What if it's like the three of us or the two of us, one of us, whatever, like some kind of voiceover that's like student journalists basically
like
that follow the captain.
Yeah.
That follow the captain because he's like the captain or whatever, and they're like, "Oh my god, did you hear the captain and his crew are going to planet Draconia? There is this evil, wicked dragon bitch who lives there. She loves to eat newbies. They're going to get snatched up. It's going to be disgusting and fiery and molten. They're not making out of that alive." And then there's like another person that's like,
no, but I also heard she's only
the captain would never be moltenized.
But she's vegan.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I heard she's vegan.
No, exactly.
Great.
Okay,
she looks great though.
This to me is like this little exchange.
I wanted you to improv with me, Ryan.
Oh, sorry. Okay,
it's over.
I was
you ruined
thinking,
it. You didn't take the bait.
Oh, another improv session ruined, and I didn't even say anything. Which one is what ruined the last improv session?
Oh my god! I like Mike Allen was like yes and I was like no shut up. I'm talking.
I'm from the shut up
Peter
school of
Family
improv.
Guy, just like and
actors would not have this at all.
This is why actors on actors will never collab with us.
I think you need to switch from actors and actors to Whose Line Is It Anyway, and maybe learn a thing or two.
Okay, we need to watch Whose Line Is It Anyway. My point is that, like, I think that what we just did, but also what we could actually, like, do for real, if I knew what was happening, was that could be, like, the intro to the show. I think, if I may be so bold, I think what we're missing, in a sense, from the pod, and also, like, the translation into the show, is, like, this is a good testing bed for the visuals, blah, blah, blah. But I think that, like, if we have some kind of, like, loose, like 2-minute intro to an episode, maybe the podcast is a great way for us to improv that, because I do really like that idea where there's just like these student journalists that are like drifting through space in a cargo container, whatever the fuck this is, like in the actual, you know, like the visual radio of it all. And maybe that, like, we are the ones, like, when we're saying we're making a show, like, what if the podcast is literally like we're making the intro to the show, and then the script like starts in minute 4 when we've already done the theme song and we've done like an Economy of Nothing podcast.
You want us to be the Star Wars, like the intro to Star Wars, but in visual radio form.
Yes. I think that, like, Star Wars is good because they have a structure.
Bold claims on this episode. Star Wars is good.
Okay. Star Wars has a structure. But, like, Star Wars has a structure that starts with a minute of scroll and then
everybody knows Star Wars structure. I don't think we need to explain Star Wars. It's the number one best-selling, like, franchise of, like, all time.
No. The number one best-selling multimedia franchise is Pokemon. Let it be known, intergalactically.
Okay, I can agree. Pokemon. A lot of people have made a lot of money off Pokemon, which actually brings me up a segment of the show. So I can transition. Yes. So this segment I like to call of the show is just for more fun. But I'm sure Ryan will figure out a way to take it back to the boring stuff. But anyways, let's get on with it. It's called What? What's the next Superman #1? That's the segment. The reason that it's called that, Superman #1, for anyone that doesn't know, Mike Badont could probably give the best explanation.
Oh, okay. Is this a trough of no value thing? I'll assume this is a trough of no value thing. So it's this basic idea that in like the 90s or whatever, Superman #1 sold for like $1 million or something. And it made this huge big comics boom where all these 90s, the 90s comics, the X-Men in the 90s, like all these Image comics, Spawn and stuff, their number ones sold like crazy because everyone was like, oh man, Superman number one sold for so much, I'll have Spawn number one, and then in 40 years it'll be worth a bunch of money, right? But like the reason Superman number one is worth a bunch of money is because at a certain point it cost people money to have a Superman number one. It was worthless. They were sold for nothing. People read a comic and threw it away. No one held on to any of them. At a certain point, it took up space in someone's box to like carry it and move it, right? And that'll just never happen to Spawn number one because everyone bought it to keep it, right? So like to be a Superman number one, it has to be a thing that no one thought would be anything, or else someone will value it, and then the value can't go. I mean, all values only go up now, so it doesn't matter anymore, right? But like theoretically, someone's rookie card is valuable because no one knew that person was going to be good as a rookie. But now baseball cards have been around for so long, everyone just gets all the rookie cards, right? Then like
so what we call this in the real world and the economy of nothing, because they both are the same thing, is alternative assets. An alternative asset is anything that is deemed value by the generalized public. And one of those things is what I wanted to say now that we've explained that why something can have value, right? And how it becomes valuable, and why also other things can't become valuable when you're trying to make them valuable. So what is the next Superman number one? Is it out there? Do we know what it is? Because originally, before you even did that whole pitch the way you did, I was thinking holographic Charizard. But also, not really. There's a million of those now. Yeah. And I know they're all different iterations and they go based off quality and then like when they were issued and stuff. But like in reality, I think one sold for like $4,000 recently. And it's just like, we did throw all those away, though. You know, we threw them away.
This is such a good point because what you're talking about is the value of NFTs in a way. It seems like the same dynamic to me.
It is, yeah.
You know, what is striking to me is like, I think in the segment or whatever that's Ryan's like a sociological point of view, I think like this is what an episode should be based on. In my mind, I don't know what we have. Like, obviously, there's a lot of episodes, and Mike has like an idea or a scaffolding, or like even very concrete like plans for what happens on each planet. But like, I think what should happen on some planet, just riffing off of this and thinking about like what are we trying to say about the world of the economy of nothing, is like there should be a planet of NFTs or of the Charizard card or of whatever, and like imagine if one of the nephews has green eyes.
Whatever. I love that.
And then there's one person that has green eyes on the planet. So they show up there and they're like, everyone tries to kill him right away. Or whatever, right? And then like Mr. Green has like a yellow cummerbund. Whatever. And then they're like, they try to destroy it. They try to take it. They try to whatever. Because they're like, there's only one of these on the planet. And it has value because it's exclusive. Because it's unique.
I would like to say that.
Like that's like an idea for an episode.
Add that to the Codex. Mr. Green has a yellow cummerbund. He wears it. And it's,
I think that like, but like, you know what I mean? I think like this is like my vision of how this goes. And per exactly what you said, whatever, like the Star Wars crawl is exactly what I'm looking for. I want to know between us and like mainly Mike, because I guess it's like your thing ultimately, is like, do we want an opening crawl? Do we want Captain Picard giving a little shit? And like, what does that look like? Does it look like everyone in the truck doing improv? Does it look like us as like a podcast, like commenting on the next episode or something?
You know, it's a really good question. And it is one of these things that like when we bring my dad on as a real guest, one of the things I'm going to have him talk about is old movie serials, which is one of the things that George Lucas was drawing on for like Star Wars and those opening crawls, like Flash Gordon and stuff. They all used to open with that stuff because you used to just buy a ticket to go to the movie and it would roll the movie and like a newsreel and some commercials and like a little cartoon. You wouldn't know what you were doing. So they'd always have to have a catch up for people, right? Now, I like that idea. Like, I want people to be able to watch an episode of The Economy of Nothing and just get it. But also, we do live in like the future where like that's not how anyone will interact with it, right? No one's gonna
Consume this
yes,
media.
right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They'll probably consume it in a place that has like a description next to it. Do you know what I mean? So like we have like
Well, and a really good example of this, if I may, and I
go
thought of
ahead.
it this week, Mike, is Mike, like, this already happens, which is maybe this is another idea for an episode, like a sociological, political idea, whatever, economic idea, is that Mike and I went to see the second Into the Spider-Verse movie together, or the third one, whatever, like the last one that came out. And Mike had seen the trailer and I had not seen the trailer. So when the movie ended, it like left on a huge cliffhanger. It was basically like part one of a two-part movie, and I was like, "This is brilliant. This was a genius film. I can't believe they left it on such a cliffhanger. No movie does that these days." But Mike Badon was like, "This is fucking stupid. This is like I knew this was coming up. This is such bullshit. They only gave us half a movie." And I think like our experiences were colored based on the media that we had known about beforehand in a way. And like even if it wasn't in this case, whatever, the details don't matter because this is like a dynamic that exists in the world. And I think that if we want to just situate the audience immediately within an episode, in my mind, that would help. This constraint of whatever idea we want to go with, it doesn't need to be one of my ideas, it needs whatever we want, is like, I think if we have some like regimented opening, like they're all in the truck together, or per what you said, like what is the point of Dispatch? I think Dispatch is like a controlled environment in the first 2 minutes of the actual episode that we like populate. And we can
Yes,
do it like impromptu and improving
with,
on the pod,
with
whatever.
characters that aren't our main characters who can fill the audience in on what's happening, right?
What's happening?
So it's
Yes,
not the
exactly.
same four characters discussing like so it doesn't always just open with Green
Yes.
and them going like, and this
Ooh.
week's mission is this. It's someone can go, hey Captain, you're going after that thing. Good luck, dumbass. Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Mike, you got something?
Yeah, so I've been reading to my daughter at night before bed, and she has this
I
book
heard
like
Father of the Year.
yeah, it's like something
Bring
like
it down,
Hattie
bring
with
down the trophy.
yes, put it right next to me. Hattie Patty
He's
or
reading her
something.
Hustler,
Patty
so
Hattie.
you should give him a lot of credit, but
the book is Hattie Patty or something, but the book is about a girl who runs into the Loch Ness monster and basically becomes friends with it. But it is so long in description, and to read it, it like the cadence of it is just rough. And I just found one day that I just did it, and if I read it like I'm like a British person or like with some sort of accent, and I'd like to try to mimic it here, but I don't know if I could do it because
You did it last week.
No, but it was so good, and I'm gonna try to bring it here, and that would be my office character. It'd be like a British guy narrating. Because like
Clive Peoples Jones or whatever. No, that's the name of like a
I need like a transcript to go off of. Like, improve the segment. Captain Green, Cheyenne, directing improv. Cheyenne's boardroom segment. Ryan, go ahead and talk now about the next segment you would like to discuss.
I like it.
The Loch Ness monster is.
Are we doing our? Are we all doing our Sean Connery accents? Sometimes I like to do my Sean Connery. Is this any?
Well, apparently we need to come up with
Sean
Australian.
Yeah.
We need
Sometimes
Australian,
I like to get the
British.
ladies to come over. That's not. I don't know. That was bad.
I don't like that.
Sean, you got Sean. Connery.
The accent, yes, but
it's
what
a
you
pudding
said,
pop.
no.
Ryan,
No,
do you
yeah, I
have?
think that
Can you do any accents, Ryan? Like, do you have anything that you can do?
What can I do?
It depends on if I actually pull it out. I feel like if I hear an accent, I can duplicate it pretty well. Like if I'm literally like listening to it 5 minutes beforehand, a minute beforehand.
Yeah, I do need a.
The only accent I can do is Southern.
Yeah, what I need to do is like I can't pull out an accent like off the top of my head. I have to think about it for a minute. It'd be like Southern, too vague, right? I'm like, what kind of Southern? Like, there's some accents where it's like, yeah, Indian. Yeah, I got one Indian accent, and I'm not doing it here, right? Like,
Ding, 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 ding.
but you know what I mean? Like British, it's like I think I can do multiple ones, but then I have to think about which one it is. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I always just go to Eurotrip like
Oi,
Who the
oi,
fuck
governor.
are you, Wikers?
Oh yeah, with like because you could do like a lock stock kind of like
Yeah.
more like in
like
the
Irishy.
yeah, but like
immigrant
as you say it,
style.
I have to like hear them because I can like think of them all in my head, right? But I can do it.
He put
Sometimes
your
I can do a
Snickers in your
Beatles.
Cali Wickers.
Listen here, guys. You know, sometimes you got to just go over there, and sometimes you listen to this music, and it's really got you
Bob
jamming.
Dylan.
And then you go over there, and you're like, "Hey, man, that music's pretty good too." You know what I mean?
It's
Ryan?
crazy
Do you
how
like
your
it?
dictionary changes as well because you said the word jammin', which I've never heard
Well,
once in my
to
life.
be very clear, that is what good accents are knowing the words to say. You will sound like more of
Wow.
sound like more of an Australian if you say Australian words, right? Like if you're just if you like you
Put
if
an
you're
old
British,
shrimp
you
on the
have to say
barbie.
tube. There's no way to say subway and sound British because British people don't say subway,
They
right?
say tube.
Yeah. They do say tube, yeah.
Right? It's the
Take the tube.
Inglorious
Yeah.
Bastards thing, man. You're not going to trick someone into. You got to use the words the people like. You know what I mean? It's how undercovers get blown all the time, right? They're like, "Oh, were you in this one prison?" And they don't know how they talked in that one prison, right, or whatever. Anyway,
What you're
It's a
talking,
shibboleth,
what
if
you're
you
talking
will.
about is cultural, just nurture
Knowledge.
habits ingrained in
Yeah.
people in the way they
Yeah.
were taught.
Well, I think, like,
what was your
I like
question?
the idea... Well,
what
it was
my
about
fucking
accents
question?
and...
This is not what we
Your
were talking
question-
about. This was not about Sopranos. Mike Allen had a segment. This was the start of a segment, and it wasn't everyone do their own accent, was it?
No, but he was talking about some kind of, like, situating narration where we could
Oh,
do, where
okay,
maybe we'd
okay.
have
I
accents
just
and
totally
different
lost track
characters...
of what we were doing. Yeah. Okay.
different characters at dispatch or otherwise that would be describing the
I
like,
said
Oh,
my
right, and he
office
was trying to-
characters are
dispatch.
facing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I
Sorry.
like the idea personally. I like the idea. Now that we're talking, I didn't have this idea before we started this podcast, so I'm open to changing it. I
Oh, you
haven't
got
given it
new
a lot of thought.
ideas, do you?
But I like the idea
love
of
it.
the
I love it.
podcast being translated into like a script that we like improv on and then finalize. That is the opening to every episode. I like the idea of like student journalists or something that are like obsessed with the captain and are following his exploits and are giving like inconsistent narration on what's happening in the episode.
Yeah, it
I
could
think
be
that
like
that would be a
it could
strong
the
use of the
captain's
podcast.
The captain's fan club, and that can kind of give him
Yes,
that
literally.
So I
Well,
had this
yeah,
pitch
that hero
for
type
for
thing.
us in
Yeah,
the podcast room.
Yes.
That was this idea that we're in this podcast room and we're slowly like you know there's that episode of Batman the animated series, I think there's two of them where people like describe like stories they've heard about Batman, and I had thought this idea of like we're in this podcast room slowly like just coming up with like, hey, I heard this happen on Draconaria. No, I heard this happen on what happened on Draconaria. And slowly as we kind of like define these characters, we're defining that like their final mission and like I don't know, our final test of like how we can animate and make a show or whatever is like, oh, the captain and Mr. Green and are like coming to save us. Where we're trapped, wherever that room is we're trapped in. And then at some point we have to like
Who will
improv
save
those
us?
guys explain how they come to save. And at some point the characters of the animated series enter the like visual radio booth, and then it's
Yeah.
okay, we need to start doing something else now because we've ran this into
No,
the
isn't
ground.
But like, isn't this exactly isn't this a confluence of everything that we want? Like,
Yes.
Mike Bedont wants content that will be in the show. Mike Allen, I don't know what you want per
Let's
se,
talk about the
but you
accountant,
did talk about
goddammit.
you did talk about having fun and doing improv. And I think this should be fun and improv and a segment and it's a use of the podcast. And it's also like plot relevant, which is what I want. And it's like framing. It's a framing device.
That's what I
want is,
need
like,
for the improv.
want-
I need a framing device. That's what I was missing.
I-
We needed to go to the
exactly.
Waffle
I
House for
want-
something more. Is what I was needing. Right?
I want like a concrete framing device that we're having that gives us a
Like a cowboy
constraint
hat.
on our creativity so that like imagine it's a podcast like literally in the universe as well, or they can all be in with like some compound, whatever, I don't care, they can all be in a container that's stuck and like, oh, maybe the captain will come and save them.
Or maybe
But
they want
imagine
to
if
ship
like
freighter
there's
and content across the universe.
yeah, and like, but like, imagine there's like a host of the podcast that brings on different different callers in to talk about like the captain's exploits for that week. And that does like the voice thing. It could be all these different voices. It could be all these different people. We don't need the same persona. We could have like this collection of like a Discord call of like the captain's fan club that just like keeps like meeting every week. That's like giving the framing in a funny way, like a stupid way about each planet, and they're like, "Oh my god, that's the planet that's like basically a fucking utopia. There's just sunshine and rainbows and lollipops and daisies. No, the economy, the Nothing Corporation has
So
not
I have a
set
question about
foot
this
there."
utopia. Well, first of all, is there a reason you're saying Utopia planet and not Utopian
is.
planet? That's I would love to know
Yes.
why you're doing that.
Utopian planet, Utopia planet. I mean, it could be called Utopia. I don't care.
Well, like I know.
There's no
I'm asking
the
if there's
dropping or containing of an N is not relevant.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if like a utopia was like a state of being, and then like utopian was a thing that was like built or something.
Well,
like that.
I mean, one is a noun and one is an adjective.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
So I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know words. But
No, it's fine. No, I mean, I think like the reason I'm saying utopia though is because or utopian is
So what? Like,
think-
what does that look like?
I think
though?
like an episode 1 to an episode 20 of a planet that's like at peace without the economy of nothing, and then you see what happens when profit is introduced into this, when they're like, fucking hell, we have to like pay taxes now. Or like we used to just the government used to just tell us how much we owed, and now we have to like fill out this form that we send to dispatch, and dispatch has to reroute it through Deborah, and Deborah has to send it over to the other tower, and then it
Okay,
has to
there-
be mailed back
there
to
has
us.
to
Like
be-
that to me is like the point.
There has to be this
of the
moment
show.
in the show that like hasn't been nailed down yet, right? That is like a moment where like the captain's already all in on like because he doesn't care and he just doesn't like the company, right? But like there has to be this
Mhm.
like a pivotal moment, and like I
If
think
you
it
say
could be like,
protagonist, I'm gonna kill you.
no.
I would never.
Where the where
No.
they do a wrong, right? Where like they go a place.
Yes. They
and
fuck it up.
and then
Exactly.
it's worse, right? And
Yes.
like it has to be something like they got a distress call, and like they chased this distress beacon or whatever onto a planet that the captain that they
Yes.
normally wouldn't have gone to or something, right? And like
Mhm.
through their actions of trying to do it, they put that planet on like the Nothing Corporation's like radar, right? Whereas like
Exactly.
when they go back to
Exactly.
Brenner 7, the question is like things are better,
Cheyenne already knew about it.
but they're,
yeah,
but
exactly.
they're better or worse, right? But they go back to this utopian place, and like it will just have
It's
to be
worse.
worse because like that's the state.
Yes.
If it's utopian and then they make an action, it will be worse because that's how
Yes.
it would work, because it wouldn't be as good as it was before, right? Like there can't be
Yes.
good progress, right? Which is like
Okay.
which is of course a thing that the captain would push against. Like the captain would be like, no, this isn't right. A utopian
Yeah.
world, I don't believe you, right? And maybe that like
Yeah,
his
yeah.
his arrogance in that moment would be like it's undoing, like him like looking for like their problem causes them problems or whatever.
Okay, and actually, okay, so this is my final pitch, but it's also my second to final pitch. I think
What
that
does
what
that
we're
mean?
Gal's
doing,
happy about it.
it's both my last and my
He's
almost
not.
last
He didn't
pitch.
want to say the word
Don't lie. Just
He
stop.
didn't want to say the word penultimate because he thought you'd get mad at him.
I would never
Guys,
say the word penultimate.
And I mean this with the most respect, but please,
When it's
just
11:15.
shut up for a second.
Okay.
And let's
Is it
just
time
like-
to do episode 2?
That's the most respectful someone I've ever said.
Oh
Shut the
my
fuck up.
god! All right.
I've been
so,
pretty respectful when I say it to people. Yeah,
um,
Mike, did you just stop the entire podcast to not talk?
God, you guys bored me to death. Oh yeah, okay. So
Sorry.
blowjobs. They just disappeared.
Blowjobs?
Yeah, they just
Sorry, what-
disappeared.
Blowjobs
Blowjobs have disappeared.
from where? This sounds like a problem that only
Society.
the captain could solve.
This sounds like a straight people problem.
I was about to
No,
say, sounds
okay.
like a married people problem.
Okay, all right. Next segment. Next segment.
Okay,
that
next
was
segment?
Mike Allen's personal meltdown moment. Brought to you by
the kids
dental
are calling
dams.
it. The kids are calling it a crash out these days. Okay,
Like,
no. So
look, I want a song. I want Mr. Green to have a song,
a song, a
and I
want
want to plug
or
it
do you
into
want to sing it?
AI. And I don't know what the song is, but for me, it's got like it's
that's a
hard
great
out
start.
here for a pimp like vibe. Like the beat to it's hard out here for a pimp. But like it's hard out here for a robot alien, you know? And then I don't know how I do that. It's you know,
Trying to get the money for the rent is the next line, which could also apply to you.
Yeah. It could just sing the song "It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp." A song that's been in my head for a very long time. People should listen to it. I'll put it on the Content Club. It's from like, I don't know, 50 something. It's the 60-Minute Man. I heard it a while back, Mike, when we've been looking at like older, like people should look it up, put it in the thing for next time. I could see Mr. Green strutting to 60 Minutes. I was thinking about it for the captain, but I couldn't quite see it.
Or the company's, or I could see a segment of the company store too. It's like, you know, the one where he's like,
so that's what had
something. What do you get? A couple days
ton.
older and deeper in debt.
So when we had been thinking about 16 ton for all that, of course, because originally like one of the thoughts was like the captain was a guy from the 40s, right? But instead, I just kind of like took like storytelling cues from that time or whatever, and then like the music when you had brought up 16 tons had me thinking. So that's why I've been looking for like older like rock and rolly like
so I see
proto
Mr.
rock and
Green,
roll songs.
Anytime Mr. Green has a montage at work, right? Because Mr. Green he obviously has to work at work, right? Because of all the reasons we've said in the past. It just you know, and then.
Because he loves
I think
money.
When you have like a montage sequence of him, you're trying to showcase the process of the economy of nothing. A great example would be like when he's going to the 50th floor to get the signature, to the like, you know, the 43rd floor to get the stamp, and then to like the 32nd floor to get the secondary signature, to go all the way up to the 107th floor to get the final CEO signature, to then go all the way down to floor 5 to submit it to the claims department. And like you could you'd be playing that song in the background of just like Mr. Green riding the elevator. You know, you could have the music playing. You could have the characters in the back, the elevator guy pulling the lever, like other people. And it's just
this
Mr.
is
Green's
such
focus going up. Yeah, go ahead.
This is hilarious that this coincides so closely with ideas that I've had over the past 24 hours since the last podcast that I listened to, I guess, came out, because I keep thinking it's been a week, but it really has only been a day. I had a scene in my mind where they're all in the truck, they're all in the car, and like Mr. Green is just like a robot or whatever, so he's like playing, he like has his earbuds in, but no one knows. He's just like jamming out, and then everyone else is talking around him, but it's just like the camera like zooms in on him or out on him, whatever, and like he's just like listening to his own theme song, like It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp. And then they're just like, and then they're like, please say something, Green, and then he's like, huh, what? But like he doesn't have earbuds because he's a fucking robot, so he's just like, what? He like lifts up nothing. And then also the second scene, these scenes are so clear in my mind. The second scene is he has a montage going through like the Nothing Corporation dispatch, but then when he gets in that fucking elevator, they turn off his own like mental like brain theme song. I don't know. They have like a disruption field or something around the elevator.
And it's the
like forces everyone
playing.
like it's like him like it's an opening montage scene. I've heard the elevator song. I think we talked about it at one point. And
well, there's two different versions floating around. The one in the shorts, the one.
Like imagine a montage. Mr. Green is going. He's like they like walk into dispatch, and Mr. Green's like, "I'll fucking take care of it," because the captain has nothing to do with it. He's doing everything, and then like it keeps cutting back to him in the elevator, and like his theme song keeps like getting cut off by like the fucking elevator song, and he's just like, "God damn it!" And he just whatever punches a hole in the wall. I don't care.
I love it.
So, I think that these two scenes are so clear in my mind.
So like, I love this. Like I don't know how it works in practicality, but I love it because it has this shot in my mind, right? So like you're talking about the shot of him like riding the car, and obviously like I'm sure people have seen a shot like this of, I don't know, like BoJack Horseman or like Rick and Morty or something. But you know, it's the camera's locking on him as we're like kind of dollying in and out. But the backgrounds around him is changing as he's like moving through his day or whatever. And one of those shots is absolutely like a fade from him, like trying not to listen to the commotion happening in the moonshine, to cutting him trying not to listen to the commotion happening in his personal car, him trying not to notice the commotion that's happening when he's working at his desk, right? Like over and over again. And I think that like, I don't know, there's just this moment of like, if this happens in a moment of impact of the show, I just love like
Exactly.
the slight moment of catharsis that we get from when it like cuts out for a second while while he's in the elevator, because I know it's like a funnier thing at first, but like, you know, as you like to do, and then take that funnier thing and show it in another, like, I don't know, this one moment of catharsis in this like bad time Mr. Green's having later in the season, where like we have this callback to like, oh yeah, he has to listen to the elevator music. I don't know. Anyway, I love it. That's all I'm saying.
Great. Okay. Great. So yeah, make that a thing.
Great. I have another segment idea. Are we ready for it, or are we going to bed?
Nope. You had your second to last one already. Just kidding.
No, okay, so my second to last idea, or my last idea, whatever, is a commercial. I think another thing that we could use the podcast time for as a segment is to come up with like a commercial in the show that's like about the theme of the show, kind of like WandaVision-esque. But I was just thinking, this wasn't really about WandaVision or whatever to me. It was more, although I do like the show, I think it's more about like the economics of it and like the corrupting force of the Nothing Corporation, and like they're trying to like sell something. They're trying to sell something to our audience. They're trying to sell something to whatever. They're trying to sell something to like the captain or to Mr. Green or anything. And I think that like if we wanted to have like some kind of interlude moment, I'm thinking about like there's 22-minute runtime, right? Is there 30 seconds in the middle of it that is like an intermission for a commercial?
You know what would be great?
If we like that,
it would be a 30.
They're just always trying to sell Teslas to us, like everywhere, like
literally anything. Exactly. It could be fucking anything. It could be the same commercial the whole season. You know what I mean? It could be anything. But like, is that worth us discussing? I think that could fill time, but also like be apropos.
So there was a pitch me and Mike Allen talked about him like pitching like fake products on the podcast, right? And I think that's like a lot of this is I think that's a great like proto way to go about like piloting this idea, right? And like a thing I talk about sometimes, I haven't talked about on the podcast yet or whatever, is like the economy of nothing as like, I don't know, a mental exercise of not narrowing your horizons or whatever, and like this idea of like these now are two things that like can become one thing and can both maintain their purpose, and we can like test both of this stuff out. But I love the idea.
What if it's
of
one of the
products.
characters from? What if it's one of the characters that does like the scrolling intro crawl thing? Like one of the characters we pull in, and like whatever, some Australian or like some Beatles impersonator that's like we'd like to thank our sponsors this week. They are drugs.
All of us butt paste. When you chafe down there, there's only one thing that can handle it. All of us butt paste.
Like if these are going to be in the act,
exactly. This is so fun and improv-y, and I think it scratches that itch. And it could be like about like the actual podcast that does the intro, not even in the actual show. I like that idea.
Yeah, and also in the show, like I like weird products and stuff are like great like world building too, right? Like if we come up with a thing that's really funny and really works on the podcast, then it like goes in the show, right? Like the best idea wins, and even if they're bad ideas, it's an idea that like can go in. Do you know what I mean? Is like all the parts of the buffalo, right? Like you like.
Yes.
Like a bad idea.
We are the Native Americans,
right? Like it's not radio. Like I've said it before. It's not. It's not content. It's context, right? It's like that's not a bad idea. It just doesn't work here, right? Like and like, but like that's just because we have other ideas here, and it's not like a powerful enough idea to override 6 fine ideas, right? You know what I mean? But like, there's no reason that like. But like throwing an idea out is a bad idea. That's the only bad idea, is throwing out an idea. Or like...
You mean not throwing out an idea?
What did I say?
You said throwing out an idea is a bad idea. That sounds...
Sorry, throwing out an idea is the only bad idea.
Oh, you mean... I meant throwing it out like pitching it to the room.
Oh, no,
I meant throwing it out like into the trash.
Tossing it. Like tossing it.
I was going to say, Mike, your narcissism is showing. Like it.
Yeah, really I was like, this is the ambiguity of language.
Sorry.
Only his brain can form it in a way that makes him still feel good about himself, you know?
What do you mean?
There's a way easier way. There's way easier ways to get your point across than like doing some I don't know. The best way I can
I'm
tell
trying
is like
to be
a double
poetic. I'm
entendre.
trying to speak I'm trying to speak in a way that makes people engage with the words I'm saying, right? Like
Whatever, Shakespeare.
Yeah, I agree. But I think if you want people to engage, you should always start your sentences with 7 years ago. I think that's the best.
Even if it was
possible
like
to
yesterday, you still have to do
Yeah.
it. You know?
No one knows what is. How Mike? Pop quiz.
score
What's a
is
score?
Is it 40 years?
20.
20, sorry.
It's fine.
That's fine.
No big deal. I just know a
lot.
lot. I just have a lot of random
I have
facts.
to do.
Okay, fine.
I have to do the math every time I go 480. Okay, yeah, 20.
We have been talking for so long, and I need to get this last idea out. I'm so sorry. This is my ultimate idea. My final idea that I need to contribute because it's a possible segment, it's a possible concept, it's a possible like show defining or like episode.
Mike Allen will decide your fate after
Okay.
this. This is the Shark Tank of ideas.
Okay, this is the Shark Tank. And I already wrote it down and everything.
And also
okay,
now look
still from my notes.
In visual radio, Ryan's hanging over a Shark Tank, everyone. This is trouble. I've just given myself
It
work.
better be. This better be a segment or I'm gonna be
It's a literal Shark Tank.
Also make Ryan look like Ariel, like Little Mermaid style, with some sharks in the tank.
Oh,
okay. Can his top hat be fish?
Yeah, he's still wearing his vest.
He's a fish head. Can you have
but
a
he's
fish
like a
head?
merman, a merman hanging over a shark tank with literal sharks. Like,
I don't know. That's my
at the bit
favorite mermaid joke. Is like, would you?
I said 7 years ago, and now you said Abe Lincoln. Make him a mermaid, and you said I'm gonna give him Abe Lincoln's top hat.
No. A fish top half.
Oh,
if you're a mermaid, you want to be the top half.
This is the same problem we had when you said trash it, throw it out. Okay, so this is my idea.
Okay.
Right? In grad school, we were given a speculative fiction design that we had to create. Okay, first sentence done. Okay, so the best one that this guy made, per what we were talking about, Mike, when you were like Utopia, how would the Utopia be ruined? This guy, it was like a dystopia that we had to create. He took a public park and said, like, what if Amazon made Easy Pass lanes in a public park so that were monitored by drones? So it'd be like a yellow, like a red, yellow, and green paths that like different people were allocated. Some had like the best views of like the lake and the flowers, whatever, right? And these pathways were monitored, and like you would be tased if you stepped off of your path, and you had like the best pathways. I think that this is the kind of idea that like we could take into these planets and like see what the Nothing Corporation does to a world that like taints it. I think we should like that should be like the motivation for what happens like subtly in the background that like leads to revolution. When these things like coalesce, and I want all of these bad things to happen on one planet. Yes, Mike Allen.
Thank you.
Question? Comments?
Oh.
Concerns?
So I would just ask moving forward.
The Coleman, I get it. Yeah.
But when you say you were
the
going
anti-utopia.
When you say you're going to do a segment, it would be nice if you could add like a headline of what the overarching segment is, rather than just dropping into full details. Because I like, what do I call that? I have no idea.
What we call this is like dystopia. Think of maybe dystopic.
Excuse me. Can we call this? Can we call it Dystopia? THIS space Topia. Dystopia.
Dystopia. Okay.
Dystopia.
Yeah, I think like we could bring an idea. Like I think that we need to make some kind of spreadsheet for these different concepts. But I think we could like discuss a kind of like an element like that where we take some normal thing that's not horrific, and we commodify it in some way, right? Like that's what this guy's doing. He's
Ryan,
like, here's a public park.
Ryan,
imagine if it was
the
fucking
host of this podcast. I agree.
Yeah,
we should make some Excel spreadsheets,
and that'll be your homework, Ryan. Sounds like you have some ideas up your sleeve.
Ryan. You're the man for the job.
I don't mind working on that.
I
think that like this is exactly what I mean though. Like when I'm talking about like overarching themes, blah blah blah. Like I want us to arrive on episode 22 and be like, look at this planet that got fucked over in like 21 ways. That like the Nothing Corporation has like insidiously commodified every aspect of this planet that was like at one time not fucked over by the.
So it's like the Dystopia planet. In episode 22, right? Like
Yeah.
like a thing happens, right? Like at first, like it was like the nothing tower fell into the sun, but I didn't quite understand how that would happen, so I went away from
I
it.
think in episode
But like
one
I
or
think
two
they,
or three.
I think like like this planet has to be like fully destroyed at the end, right? Like
No. I don't think it's destroyed, Mike. I think that they fall through the atmosphere of Jupiter. There's a planet that is unbothered, whatever. There's a planet that's unbothered by the Nothing Corporation because like they've been shooting down the drones or whatever. Like the rockets that have like the Nothing
no, whatever they
Corporation's
had there just
drones that have tried to
wasn't
go through.
valuable to the Nothing Corporation
Yes,
until the
exactly.
captain found something on a mission, and it's the captain's
Yes.
fault because he
No.
brought
And I
back
think
the thing. He brought
well,
back
it
the
can be the captain's
unobtainium or
fault
whatever.
if you want.
It should be the captain's fault.
I think it'd be the captain's fault in two ways. I think it's either well, I was thinking that it's like they had to send a distress signal for some reason. Like that's like easy enough to manufacture or generate. They had to send a distress signal. There's a resource that's simply too valuable that like someone stumbles and like says that they have, or the fact this is an idea that I think we should workshop
I know what it
probably
is.
in a different episode.
I know what it is. I know what the resource is.
Okay, hold on. My
Okay,
third
what is
idea
it?
is that the
Oh,
captain's very presence makes it a landmark. Okay, keep going. Because he's the savior of the universe.
Anyways, the resource that
Yeah.
I think the Nothing Corporation would, in my opinion, would only find valuable unless they
Ash.
like had all of the supply, but also wouldn't
Yeah.
want anyone to have. And that screams to me Mary J. You know what I'm saying? Because when you smoke the
Okay.
Mary J, you're like, fuck the man, right? And like the Nothing Corporation wants their employees in line and loyal, the company town, the, type of vibe. And so, weed's awfully like used as a gateway to, deeper reflective thinking.
Is this
Hey Ryan, take the
yeah,
mic out
is
of your
this sorry. Sorry. Oh, so is this Topia a planet that actually had some kind of like shielding that stopped them from being inculcated into
Yeah, man, it was a cloud
capitalism?
planet. You know
But
what
it
I'm
was-
saying, brother?
But it was Mary J.
Big clouds.
So-
like
so it-
Jupiter,
so
maybe
did-
puffing them.
So is what they do is they go to the planet and they just like burn all of the MJ?
I think
I
it could
think
just
that
be
this
a
really
planet
does
full
matter
of
for
drugs,
Banter.
like full of like shrooms and weed and like MDMA rivers and like like acid waterfalls, and it's just like they wouldn't want anyone to have it unless they could have all of
Yeah.
it and monetize the hell out of it.
Well, exactly. I think that
Well,
when I was thinking of
the
this
distant
concept,
future could legalize drugs, and then all of a sudden,
Of course.
because drugs were decriminalized in the distant future, but they were never legalized. So there was never major corporate reasoning to go in and like get like drug resources like that because they couldn't move them because they're still technically a government and it's still technically illegal. But if drugs were legalized, all of a sudden major corporations would have a reason to get in there and fuck it up in the way major corporations fuck everything up. You know what I mean? Do you know what I
i.e.
mean
make
this
it
time when
a
I say, you know what I
commodity.
mean?
Well, I think that like what I want about the Utopia before it gets fucked over is I want it to be like non-commodified. I don't want it to be like technologically barren. I'm not trying to like I don't think that like via the themes and our
Yeah, I don't
sociological
want this to be.
commentary-
I don't like. I made that joke about
Yeah.
the buffalo, but like
I don't want it to
want
be
this to be a
primitive.
negative. Yeah, like I said, unobtainium
Yeah.
too. I don't want this to be the Pandorans or whatever, right? Like,
No, I think it's like
it's
like
a modern
deeply,
society
like,
that figured shit
Yeah.
out, right?
but
Like,
it's also a modern society that's like still separate from like the universe. You know what I mean?
So no
or
one-
it either has to be like that there's like an atmosphere of MJ clouds of Jupiter that have like atmospherically corroded the
Hey Ryan,
attempts
what's
to
your
reach the
favorite
surface.
planet in our solar system?
Probably Jupiter.
mine's
Who'da
Earth.
thunk?
Mine is the planet Earth.
The
It
one
can't
I
be
live
Pluto
on.
anymore. I'll tell
The
you
one I
that.
live on.
Yeah.
Nerd.
No, I think, but do you see what I mean? Like, if let's just say we meet this
I'm a big
planet,
home
whatever, it
guy.
could be after Draconium. The planet could be like episode 4 or whatever. But if we come back to it 20 episodes later, etc., and it's like
Sorry, I should
been
stop saying
commodified.
nerd. I don't really mean it. I have nothing else to say. And you're both
I
wearing
don't take it
glasses
badly.
today.
I mean,
I
I
always
can't say
wear
that about
glasses.
them.
So like here,
No, but like what I want to say is I don't want it to be like an apocalypse when you go back. I just want it to be a corporation. I just want them to have to fill out their taxes. I want them to have to like go into an office. I want them to have to like send reports out to their bosses. I want it to be like capitalism. I don't want it to be an apocalypse
all right,
in my mind
well, you
because
just
I
have
think that
different
it's like
opinions on the
still.
capitalism, but yeah.
But I think it's like still fucked up, and I think that they see what they did to this planet.
Yes.
What
And
are
that's,
we
like,
talking
the
about?
revolution.
Like, what the? It is. I don't even know.
Mike, this is a brilliant idea.
It is a brilliant
And
idea.
it can also be.
but I've
be a
faded
segment.
into
So
phased
okay,
out.
all right. So like to bring it back to like an actual point, like what we would need in this situation, right? If like we talk about like needing to like improv something, like what's needed out of this planet, right? Is specifically like if it's a utopia, they can't like need the captain's help, right? Unless it's an outside threat, right? So like the thing that like it would be is that the captain gets a distress call to an area, and it's like a asteroid's coming for a planet, right? And by moving the thing out of the way, it's going to hit the other planet, and so the captain's going to help them. Like, hey, we don't want to get involved or whatever, and the captain's like, well, I'm going to help you anyway. But that would put them on the radar, and then when they came back, they could have like the lines over. I really do like I fucking hate those lines in hospitals, and I think they should be all over the place, maybe in like nothing
Exactly.
corporation shit. I think
Like imagine, but that's what I mean. Like imagine if they just had on this utopia, they just had free healthcare, and now they don't because the Nothing Corporation has given them insurance companies. You know what I mean? It's like that simple. And
I
I
think
heard what you said, Mike. I imagine like Mr. Green had too many waffles and he just like crashes the ship into the planet. I don't think it has to be like that complicated of a setup. I just need them to like arrive on this planet. Jupiter.
I think I keep like it's weird. The thing I keep coming back to, and it's because I've watched too much of it, but I'm just like oh, I keep going back and forth. And just like, how do we visualize a utopia, right? Which think is probably the thing we just have to figure out at some point. Is like, can't, I guess like, I don't know what it looks like, right? Like, but I guess.
And let's just not talk about it anymore. Because if I hear the word utopia one more time, my head's gonna explode.